Straight ahead on Oregon's News at 10, files belonging to more than 700 patients and clients have been lost at Lane County Health and Human Services. What to do if you're one of those patients? And we have a first look at body camera footage released by the U of O as they evacuated the EMU in May. This comes after a student files a formal complaint. Plus, folks are raising concerns over a cougar that was shot and killed last night in Springfield. Why tranquilizing and relocating was not an option. Oregon's News at 10 starts right now.
You're watching Oregon's News at 10 on Oregon's Fox.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Oregon's News at 10. I'm Kristin Goodwillie. Triple-digit temperatures fried parts of Oregon today. Most of the state is under extreme fire danger as well, with no sign of rain on the way. That's where we find meteorologist Travis Knudsen. Travis, when will our temperatures cool down?
Well, we have a gradual decline in temperatures over the next couple of days, but for the short term, the heat remains across much of the state of Oregon. Here's a look at our temperatures outside right now, starting to cool down as we head to our overnight lows. 76 degrees is where we're at right now in Eugene and Corvallis. 85 in Roseburg on the coast, cooler there, with temperatures sitting in the 50s. Now tomorrow, blue skies return once again, and we'll cool down a little bit for our Thursday, but we remain well above average. However, seasonable weather does exist in the forecast. We'll just have to wait a little while before it arrives. Lows tonight dropping into the mid-50s for much of the Willamette Valley and the coast. A little bit warmer down in Douglas County at 60 degrees. Medford at about 67. And the seasonable temperatures are still a ways out, but they are on the 7-day forecast. I'll tell you exactly when they arrive coming up in just a few minutes. Kristin?
Thanks, Travis. New at 10, a warning from Lane County Health and Human Services. Files belonging to more than 700 patients and clients have been lost. The files contain private information like medical histories, addresses, and social security numbers. We're told the files belong to 566 community health center patients and 149 clients with Lane County developmental disabilities. It's unclear how the 49 boxes of files went missing, but investigators believe they may have been accidentally destroyed. These files are saved electronically, but Health and Human Services is required to keep hard copies of the files for a certain number of years before destroying them. Those patients and clients involved have been notified, though there is no evidence that the files have been stolen. They're encouraged to check their bank statements and credit reports. Health and Human Services is now in the process of contracting with a medical storage facility so that this does not happen again. And in the meantime, we are told Health and Human Services will likely be fined by the Oregon Department of Human Services for this loss. If your files were lost, Health and Human Services will actually pay for a credit monitoring service to check your finances. Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax. If you have any concerns, you can call Health and Human Services Incident Hotline at the bottom of your screen and on our website.
Hey, police department, everybody in here needs to come with me now.
This is a first look at body camera footage released by the University of Oregon Police Department. It shows an officer evacuating the EMU back in May while they searched for a burglary suspect. The video shows the officer telling a student, DJ Sterling Braccio, to leave the building. It appears the officer waits about 15 seconds to radio other officers waiting outside. Braccio says when he walked out, officers with guns drawn ordered him to the ground.
Guys, he's an employee. He needs to go through. You're good. Go. Get past them. No, go.
Braccio filed a formal complaint with the U of O Police Department. Chief Matthew Carmichael later apologized for the incident. Carmichael said the situation should have been handled differently. He said officers should not have made the student feel unsafe, and the officers should have escorted him out of the building to avoid any confusion. The Department of Fish and Wildlife says police acted exactly as they should have in shooting and killing a cougar in a Springfield neighborhood last night. Reporter Audrey Will shows us why that became the only option.
Somewhere right here.
The dogs, the sniper, the neighbors out and worried. This guy created quite the stir on 30th and Olympic Tuesday evening.
We don't need our citizens, especially any kids, getting hurt or killed by a wild animal in a residential area.
So police fired the fatal shot, leaving many of our viewers wondering why it had to be that way. Our Facebook page covered in comments, asking why the cougar couldn't be tranquilized and relocated.
They did the right thing to put the animal down.
Wildlife biologist Christopher Yee tells us it could have taken up to 45 minutes for a tranquilizer to work. That is, if it worked at all.
If we were to sedate this animal and the animal were to come out of the tree and start running through the residential neighborhood half drugged, we've created an even larger and more dangerous public safety issue than was currently at hand.
And cougars are territorial animals, so they can't be relocated. Putting it in another cougar's territory could lead to its death, the other cougar's death, or injury to other animals.
It's not fair to the animal you're relocating and not fair to the animals that live there.
Yee says this cougar was a malnourished 1.5-year-old male who'd probably been away from its mom for about a month and wandered into the neighborhood.
It's unlikely, even if this cougar had made it back out of town, that it would have survived. Mortality rate on dispersing juveniles is fairly high.
So he says for the sake of public safety, shooting and killing the cougar was the way to go. In Springfield, I'm Audrey Wheel reporting.
ODF and W was not there last night. He told us they're not allowed to shoot or a firearm in city limits, so it was entirely in the jurisdiction of Springfield Police. But Yee says had they been there, they would have advised the same thing. The city of Eugene is now accepting applications for ride-sharing companies to operate here. The city's council adopted new rules in April, and the city manager has now signed off on them. Originally, under the proposed rules, Uber and Lyft said in a statement they still could not operate in Eugene. Well, since then, the adopted rules include some changes. That includes more lenient requirements on vehicle inspections. Drivers can have any state license. It doesn't have to be one from Oregon, and vehicles can be up to 15 years old instead of the original proposal of 10 years. Transportation network companies can apply on the city's website, and then interested drivers can apply to those companies. Coming up on Oregon's News at 10, a local group is filling in the gaps when it comes to veteran support, how it gives women a space to talk about their experience after weather with Travis Knudsen. There are plenty of vendors and exhibits to see at the Coos County Fair in Myrtle Point this week, one of them offering resources to women veterans. Reporter Lauren Negretti has the story.
The Coos County Fair has tons to offer. There are rides and farm animals and food vendors. In the midst of all that activity, you'll find a booth that provides support for women veterans. Crystal Hopper comes from a military family. She created the group after failing to find resources for her mother.
What is your goal with the support group? Bringing them all together for supporting each other. Like I said, to socialize. We're going to meet once a month.
Troy May attends the meetings and saw the need for a support group for women veterans. She's from the Coos County Veterans Department. It's part of the VA system to help veterans apply for benefits.
The whole VA system is geared to the male veteran. They are now just starting to recognize that women have different needs, everything from health care needs to just even being recognized as a veteran.
She says the open discussion format of the meetings allows women to voice their concerns to her organization.
And the next Women's Veteran Support Group meets August 27th. Reporting in Myrtle Point, I'm Lauren Negretti.
The August 27th meeting will be at the Elks Lodge in downtown Coos Bay. Their meetings are every fourth Monday at 4 p.m. Next on Oregon's News, while the footage from a flying drone is nice to look at, the Umpqua National Forest warns people that flying a drone near wildfires could put lives at risk. The South Umpqua fire continues to burn tonight, now over 6,800 acres. Fire officials say winds have played a part in spreading hot spots, but most of the burning has been low intensity. 37 crews and multiple helicopters are being used in an effort to contain the fire. Communities near the Miles Sand snowshoe fires are being told to be ready to evacuate if the fire spreads. Right now, the world's largest sugar pine is also at risk of being burned. It's located in the Umpqua National Forest. Sprinklers have been installed around the tree for its protection. As crews battle fires in southwest Oregon, the Umpqua National Forest is working to prevent something that's illegal. It can interfere with firefighting efforts. They're talking about flying drones, and they're warning people to keep their drones away from wildfires, saying it's not only illegal, it could put lives at risk. Reporter Alex Hassenstaub has the story.
With 9 wildfires burning in southwest Oregon, the U.S. Forest Service is sending out a message.
If you fly, we can't.
Chiara Cipriano with the U.S. Forest Service is talking about drones.
You cannot fly your drones when we have fires going on.
Already this year, 11 firefighting operations have been delayed because people were flying drones too close to the fires.
So anytime a drone is spotted, when there's aviation operations out, we have to shut it down.
That includes efforts like dumping water or fire retardant from the air.
This one here.
Jason Alcorn, a tech specialist at Eugene Toy and Hobby, can only speculate why people choose to fly their drones in dangerous situations.
Maybe they're trying to capture footage that nobody else has. There's always going to be the few that are giving the rest of us a bad name.
Even flying drones at legal heights is an issue when there's fire involved.
A lot of our equipment and aviation takes place at a very low altitude, about the same altitude as drones.
To make things worse, when there's smoke in the air, it can be difficult for pilots to see, increasing the risk of a collision.
And whatever it is, helicopter, plane, whatever is contacted in the air, that could bring it down, and that jeopardizes lives.
The Forest Service spreading the word so what should be a harmless hobby doesn't become a hindrance this fire season.
You could be penalized up to $20,000 for flying a drone near a wildfire, and there is potential for criminal prosecution. After a year documented in the works, tonight Lane County's Transportation Advisory Committee lays out their first steps in an ADA transition plan. Committee members say they're looking at nearly 6,000 intersections needed for consideration in this project, and add about 1,000 are needed for inspection and/or review. Committee members say they've reviewed a couple hundred intersections so far. They tell us some meet federal ADA requirements, but many do not, which not only includes crosswalk ramps, but also crosswalk signals. But committee members say there are about 8 ramps in an intersection, and they say it costs about $15,000 to complete 2 ramps. Officials say they have $375,000 that can address this effort over the next 5 years, thanks to the capital improvement program adopted earlier this year, and $250,000 over the fiscal year. Members say they don't have a direct dollar number or timeline for this entire project, but says the funding they have so far will help the county move forward with the plan and get a better idea of what they're looking at.
That then could inform the rest of this plan as it becomes a document, to understand how many years based on numbers that we're getting for not just materials but contractor time. Does the context of the neighborhood make a difference, urban versus rural?
Witzig says right now the committee is looking at strategies that will utilize as many different opportunities to bring various intersections to compliance in the most affordable way. Another way Witzig says will help the county move forward with this project is through outreach to everyone who has a stake in the project outcome. She says that means not only looking at this from a design aspect, but from the perspective of someone who has a disability.
To not experience something can be very limiting in a perspective, so to reach out to those who live this day to day really matters, but also we have an ability to communicate with partners that can also get that word out.
That it's just not physically.
Static map of intersections the committee will be looking at is available on their website. For links and more information on this project, head over to our website. We'll be right back. Finally tonight, nope, no snow in sight, and Santa Claus still hasn't arrived, but fans celebrated Christmas anyway at PK Park with the Eugene Emeralds this evening. It was part of Christmas in July, and even with temperatures in the high 90s, the holiday cheer was off the charts. Fans made ornaments for a tree in the stadium, harvested from the Willamette National Forest. A lot of Christmas stories we've had. Christmas in July.
It's alive and well. I saw on the jerseys, because they had special Christmas jerseys.
Oh, okay.
You know the lamp from A Christmas Story?
Yes.
So on the jersey, it has Sasquatch leg because of the Sasquatch is the mascot with the lampshade.
Really?
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, the Sasquatch is so funny.
Oh, I love the Sasquatch.
All of his videos. I mean, I'm sure you guys aired them on the sports report all the time.
Well, I mean, the Sasquatch and I have quite the rivalry as well. We've raced a few times.
Right.
Yeah, 1-1.
Are you doing this again?
I'm not. It's a new Squatch this year. Chased off the other one, so who knows? May do it, may not.
All right. I hope you do. It was very funny last time.
I've been training though, so I am ready.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us tonight for Oregon's News at 10.